Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer. Watch Miles Morales in action in this gorgeous trailer. The art design of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse looks pretty gorgeous, and the film seems to have far more details than a typical animated superhero film. Although Miles Morales has been confirmed to be in Marvel's cinematic universe, chances are we will not see him anytime soon in live action. The half Latino, half African American version of the web slinger can be seen maneuvering through the streets of New York City in a trailer released by Sony Pictures. He stops by Peter Parker's grave to pay respects and then continues swinging through the city as Vince Staples raps in the background. It is revealed that Miles Morales is not the only Spider-Man. Towards the end of the trailer, Miles asks, "How many of us are there?" to somebody who seems like another Spider-Man. The Spider-Verse in the title. While it is getting tiresome how every studio is incorporating multiple superheroes into one film, as though they are convinced standalone films with one superhero would not work. I am genuinely excited to see this film. Also, may we expect to see Patrick Baker's Indian Spider-Man? Please? The art design of the film looks pretty gorgeous, and the film seems to have far more details than a typical animated superhero film, which is probably why it will get a huge theatrical release. There is not much known about the plot. Shamik Moore voices Miles Morales. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse also stars Liev Schreiber, Mahershala Ali and Brian Tyree Henry. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman from a screenplay by Phil Lord. The film is scheduled for a December 14, 2018 release. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer. Miles Morales finally makes his big screen debut. Just how many more movies are they going to make on our favorite web crawler that we say enough is enough? Or will that situation never come ever? Ever since this new millennium began, we have had 3 iterations of Spider-Man by now. So there is the much-loved Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man that starred Tobey Maguire that came first. Sony Pictures later rebooted the character for the Amazing Spider-Man series with Andrew Garfield. However, the bad critical reception to the second movie of this franchise forced Sony to drop it and tie up with MCU. So we had a new Spider-Man in the MCU who has gone back to high school. This Spider-Man, now played by Tom Holland, made his debut in Captain America: Civil War and had his solo movie earlier this year in Spider-Man: Homecoming. We will also see the same character in the upcoming Avengers: Infinity War that is coming up in 2018. But this is not the only time we will see Spider-Man next year. There is an animated movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, also coming up from Sony Pictures, that is created by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the movie geniuses behind the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street franchise. They were recently in the news for being ousted from the Star Wars project, Solo, a Star Wars movie, and being replaced by Inferno director Ron Howard. But that hasn't stopped them from making Spider-Man animated. While it is one Spider-Man too many, it won't be Peter Parker who would be Spider-Man. Going by a tombstone shot in the trailer, it looks like Peter Parker is dead in the universe, though the last scene hints otherwise. Instead it would be Miles Morales, the first colored guy to take on the Spidey suit in the comics, who would be making his big screen debut here. And he perhaps won't be the only Spidey in the movie. Watch the trailer. Miles Morales had been teased as an Easter egg in Spider-Man: Homecoming. His uncle, Aaron Davis, played by Donald Glover, is seen in the movie as a small-time crook. And in a deleted scene, is heard talking to his nephew Miles on the phone, confirming his existence in the universe. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is scheduled to release in Christmas 2018. Study: canola oil linked to dementia. Memory loss and confusion are common symptoms of dementia. Now scientists are linking canola oil to the disease in a new report. Researchers from Temple University recently conducted an experiment published in scientific reports to determine how the common cooking oil may have an effect on the brain. To do so, they examined mice that were 6 months old, dividing them into 2 groups. One was fed a normal diet, while the other had a diet supplemented with the equivalent of about 2 tablespoons of canola oil. The authors explained. After observing the animals for 12 months, they weighed them. They found that the mice on the canola oil diet weighed significantly more than those on a regular diet. They then assessed their working memory, short-term memory and learning ability by administering maze tests. They discovered the mice that had consumed canola oil suffered damage to their working memory. The canola oil-treated mice had reduced levels of amyloid beta 140, a protein that serves a beneficial role in the brain. As a result of decreased amyloid beta 140, animals on the canola oil diet further showed increased formation of amyloid plaques in the brain, with neurons engulfed in amyloid beta 142, the authors said. The damage was accompanied by a significant decrease in the number of contacts between neurons, indicative of extensive synapse injury. Synapses, the areas where neurons come into contact with one another, play a central role in memory formation and retrieval. Their findings suggest canola oil is not beneficial to the brain, especially when it is consumed over long periods of time. Researchers now hope to further their studies to find out exactly how much canola oil can produce changes in the brain, and if it can be linked to Alzheimer's disease. Even though canola oil is a vegetable oil, we need to be careful before we say that it is healthy, lead researcher Domenico Pratico said. Based on the evidence from this study, canola oil should not be thought of as being equivalent to oils with proven health benefits.